appointed hour and time. So good evening, everybody who happens to be in the viewing audience. I'm Jeff Broadleib, the chair of the Southampton Village Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation. I'd like to call the meeting to order on this Monday, December 28th, 2020. And by way of roll call and introduction, and perhaps you can see them on the top of your screen or somewhere on your computer, are Sarah Latham, Peter DeWitt, John Gregory, and Mark McIntyre. So whereas we have a quorum, I move that we open the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so be it. And do we have on vote?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye as well. So the meeting is called to order. And to begin, and participating with us as well are our legal counsel, Alice Cooley, who you can see on the screen as well, our recording secretary, Jackie Allen, who is hidden from view, but diligently typing everything we're saying, and our big videographers, Kat and Charlie Styler. So I thank them. I'd also like to send a thank you to somebody who has been present on the board for the last several years, and that's Zach Studenrock, our historic consultant, who is scaling back his workload in general and focusing on specific projects and objectives of personal interest to him, including a book on Long Island one-room schoolhouses, as well as work in a cemetery, not digging graves, but recording the historical aspects. And he's also active in the Historical Society on Long Island. So we wish him well. Also, Antoinette Edwards, who's been for a long time, as long as I've sat on the board, our recording secretary, is also freeing up her time to spend with family. So we are now have the benefit of Jackie Allen, who is taking notes, as I said, diligently. And most of you folks know her as the smiling, friendly, and helpful face of the building department that helps you with your applications and the process. So thank you, Jackie, for doing that and for your efforts here on the recording secretary. I normally at the meetings say, make a statement talking about our purpose. I think for the purposes of this meeting, I'm going to suspend that. I think all of you know what our role is, which is to provide for progress, yet at the same time recognizing the village's past history and its look and feel. So the first item on the agenda are the minutes. As I mentioned, Jackie's done a great job of recording the minutes. The meeting the last time was an extremely long meeting, and Jackie has submitted those to us. The board is at this time just reviewing those minutes. So I move that we suspend the reading of the minutes this evening and move such reading and approval to our next meeting on January 11th, 2021.
Second.
There you go. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the minutes from the 14th are hereby moved to review on our next meeting on the 11th. So we'll try to keep the same process that we've used at our physical meetings, but for those who are listening, this is the ARB's first attempt and use of virtual meetings. So it's a learning experience for us. And so please bear with us as we will with you. But I think it should move smoothly, and in many cases, the applications we'll be hearing tonight are applications that were adjourned from the prior meeting, recognizing that this is an additional and special meeting to accommodate in part the overload that we had last meeting, as well as just making life easier for all. Also, I appreciate the fact that I was able to participate at the last meeting virtually. And nobody in our household had COVID, so that's all good news. So with that, the first agenda item, now that we've moved beyond the minutes, are the written decisions. The first one is BHNH LLC, otherwise known as 109 Hampton Road. I want to thank Alice for a timely turnaround on a very lengthy and involved application and process. The board is currently reviewing that submission and will make it, and is not ready at this point to adopt it, not because of anything of a substantial nature. We really just need the time to review it, and we'll get that done as expeditiously as possible, and surely by the next meeting. As I said, this is a special meeting that was not on the schedule, so we await the written decisions on the others that are on the agenda. Alice, if I need to read them, I will. Otherwise, I'll the names. Otherwise, we can simply move to the one item that is an open item. How do you want to play that?
Are you talking about the Elm Street application, 103 Elm Street?
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm just asking, I don't need to read into the records the written decisions that by name.
No.
Okay, okay. So on 103 Elm Street, you can introduce it, or I can, whatever you want to do.
Sure. So the application of Anne Marie and Blake Myers at 103 Elm Street, additions to dwelling. At the last meeting, it was erroneously listed as a non-historic application. And it's actually in the historic district. So the board should move to reopen that application, and then we can close it for a written decision, and we can adopt that written decision at the next meeting, so long as I am able to get to it as quickly as I can.
Okay, good. So at Alice's suggestion, I move that we reopen the application of Anne Marie and Blake Myers at 103 Elm Street for additions to a dwelling. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, on vote, please.
Aye.
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 Aye as well. So with that being opened, at referencing what Alice had said, that this property had found its way onto the non-historic listings, and in fact, it is within the historic district. I move that we submit the application of Anne Marie and Blake Myers at 103 Elm Street for additions to written decision. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay,
Aye.
and on vote,
Aye.
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 okay, and I as well. So with that done, that is submitted for written decision as well. Okay, are we all good, Alice?
Mhm.
Okay, good. Okay, so now the next agenda item are public hearings, historic. And the first item on the agenda is the town and village of Southampton regarding 51 Pond Lane for the designation of landmark status for the Pyrus Concert property. Before we begin, just a note to Jackie. Jackie, the folks representing the village and the applicant will be making presentations. It's not necessary for you to transcribe everything they say. When they're presenting a presentation, you can just refer to it in the minutes. Do you agree with that, Alice?
Sure, you want an accurate representation, but it doesn't have to be a transcription.
Right, exactly. Thank you. So with that being said, somewhere in the virtual world, would the applicant on that particular application please appear?
I have to bring them in.
Okay,
I
thank
need
you.
to know the name.
Okay, so that would be helpful because it's,
Or they could raise their hand and I'll bring them in.
thank you.
It should be Georgette Key and Mayor Warren.
Okay,
Oh, very nice. Oops.
And Jeff, just so you know, I did review the mailings and they are acceptable.
okay, thank you very
And
much.
Mayor
Yeah,
Warren. Okay, they should be coming in momentarily. I see Jesse Warren and there's Georgette. Okay.
Jeff, thank you very much for chairing the meeting tonight, and thank you again to the entire Architecture Review Board.
You're
As I said
sideways,
before,
Mayor.
yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Kat?
You're sideways.
Okay. Is this better?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. It's funny for the trustees meetings, we go sideways, and I guess we go vertical for A or B. But regardless, thank you very much for having us tonight, and thank you again, Jeff, and thank you to the entire board. Alice, thank you for reviewing the mailings, and it's unusual for the A or B to have a meeting this late into December, but I just want to let you know that we all appreciate all your hard work, and so I just wanted to extend a heartfelt thank you to everybody. So moving forward, as you know, myself along with Dr. Georgia Greer-Key are co-sponsoring this application and public hearing tonight. As we outlined at our last hearing, we presented a history of the architecture and archaeology of the site, the significance and importance to the village of Southampton. And tonight we also have letters of support from various nonprofit organizations, as well as Assembly Person Fred Thiel of this district as well. And so I think it's best if we turn it over to Dr. Key, who can briefly recap what the significance is and the architectural background is, and why it's so important that this property be landmarked.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us today. Happy Kwanzaa. And today actually is Ujima, which is collective work. So today we're here for collective work. You would have received in a packet, this packet concerning 51 Pond Lane in Southampton. Some of the materials that we have, but there are some in file. So this would have been the home before it was actually torn down. One of the things that I wanted to point out too was the fact that this important structure, as you know, we were able to go in and take the original membranes of the property and save them and salvage them, and there was a report for that. So here on the property, you will see that this is the existing structure that's on the map, and this is a copy of what is in the state register for the actual property. That it is listed in, is a part of the historic district locally, statewide, and national-wise. So the property is already in a historic district. It just wasn't listed individually. And also the structure that you see here too is also significant to us, which is still current standing at the site. And over to the left where you see the fence is where the original footprint of the actual property was and will be returned. And on the table there, you will see that you can't see it up close up, but there are some remnants from the archaeological dig that was done. So which are really important and dates back to the site and the time period that we are looking to capture and have within the museum. So that significance is very important to us. You also have attached to you the investigation and salvage report from Strata and Baxter, which looks at some of the original materials and talk about the structure and the fact that its significance architecturally and period-wise of the structure. So that is in your actual report that was emailed to you this afternoon, but also in the folder within the village, you will see that this full report and along with other documents are available to you along with the archaeological report in extensive background will be there for you. But this is just to give you an idea of what we were able to go in and see and identify and take out, which will be reconstructed at the site on its original footprint, which is according to the interior of the, basically the, will be recorded, will be put back in its original form according to the standards of the interior. So this is what the standards will call for. We will make sure that it's done to the right standard. I also have on the line too with me, I don't know if you could promote her, Sarah Couch. She's a partner. She should be promoted. One of our advisors, Sarah Couch from Preservation Long Island. She'll be able to speak to this as well. I'm kind of under the weather today. This, what you see here is some of the structures that you saw previously, some of the timbers that we were able to salvage. We were able to take them and have them reconstructed to make sure that we're able to rebuild the property and put them right back to the original status that we were looking to rebuild the property, but make sure that all of the right timbers were in place. We worked with Chayla and Rogers, who were the architects on this project. So there are many hands on this project and many advisors on this project that are with us to talk about the significance and the reason that we need to landmark this project. It's not just because of the structure that you see here, but also because of the cultural significance as well as the architectural structure that will be put back in its place. So as I said before, this project is a culmination of many organizations, Southampton African American Museum, myself from Eastville Community Historical Society. We have AIA from Beconic, which is one of the strategic partners, as well as Preservation Long Island. This year, I wanted to point out the fact that we are basically celebrating the 5th year of reclaiming this property, which is really important and significant at this time that we move forward with looking at how we are going to reclaim the property itself. In terms of, I don't know if Sarah is available to be promoted at this point, whoever's in charge of promoting the presenters. Sarah Couch should be on the line. Okay. Well, and then also in your packet, I just wanted to bring to your attention too that we have letters from Assemblyman Fred Field in support of this project. We also have another letter from AIA Peconic. You also have in your packet a letter of support from the Preservation League of New York State. I also wanted to point out the fact that you have in your packet too is one of the celebration, the centennial celebration of the village in 1994. You have a copy of that in the materials that were emailed to you, talking about the significance of Pyrrhus Concert, and that is in your packet too, talking about his Pyrrhus Concert's significance culturally, but also the fact that this site was really important as his homestead, as it belonged to relatives, and he was able to accumulate this property from his grandmother to keep it down to the family. But not only that, his presence is ever in the village. It's in the village through Agawam Lake, through where he used to ferry residents and children of the village across Agawam Lake. He's in the Pelletreau Smith Silver Shop where he worked. So he's ever present. He's buried at the East End grave site there. So we have a walking tour that we worked with the Southampton Historical Museum with. So he's at the Presbyterian Church, but this was his actual homestead that he made sure that he was a part of, besides the stories that we regularly hear about his voyage, being on the Manhattan, the voyage, the 1845 voyage to Manhattan. Culturally, that's significant. It's very relevant. It puts him not only in the atmosphere for global significance, but also the fact that we need to celebrate the Northern slavery narrative that is not often told, which is really important to us and his station in life. So, and the fact that he owned this property and accumulated it from inheritance is really important as well. And he was celebrated within the village. He went from a greenie to being someone who was one of the highly respected seafarers, and then to go on to the gold rush and to come back and retire and take the children across to the village and leave a legacy of philanthropy at the church and much other assistance that he left for widows of whalers. You also have in your packet an update from the Long Island Historical Journal that is administered from Stony Brook, which was an article that I had written on this process thus far. Again, this is a project that has been ongoing, and it's a project that we have worked with collectively, not only with the village, but with the town, with the local community at large. There's letters on record from the National Trust of Historic Preservation, the Slave Dwelling Project, from archaeologists such as Chris Matthews, Allison McGovern, you name it. We have had people looking at this for a long time. So the property is something that I think is worthy of landmark, and I would ask that you move forward with landmarking it.
Thank you, Georgette. The only thing I would add to that presentation is that I think we're all very proud to be participating here almost 2 centuries later to ask for the historical landmark. But if you look at chapter 65-3 regarding the designation of landmarks in historic districts, this clearly fits the criteria necessary. And so we would also ask the Architects Review Board tonight, if they feel appropriate, to obviously listen to the public comment, close the hearing and vote on it. There is some time frame that does matter here. We're prepared to go in front of the town board in January, as well as the CPF board, and ask for funding. And one of the criteria for funding with the town is the historic landmark. So we hope that you'd be willing to listen to what we've presented and to landmark this tonight. And that will be a big help in order for this final step we need in order to rebuild the home that unfortunately is no longer there. But we really hope to be able to continue that. And then the funding from the town is critical. And so we hope that we'll have the opportunity next month to proceed with that. So thank you again, Georgette. Thank you to the board, and we'll pass this back to you guys.
Great. Thank you, Georgette and Jesse. Normally, I would ask for the board's comments at this point, but if there are any folks from the public, I think in this particular situation and this venue, I'd like to hear from the public, if there are any folks out there who want to make a comment, and then I will solicit the board members for their comments. So Kat, I'm going to turn that task to you.
Okay, so Jeff, I'm waiting to see if any attendees will raise their hand, and there's
Sarah-
one. Yep, there's one.
Sarah's there. I was asking for her to be brought on with me, but I don't know if she got on late.
She
But I
got
was,
in. She was listening. Let me ask her to. Oops, where'd
I'm
she go?
here.
okay.
My
she is.
my video isn't working. I don't know what's happening. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks so much to everybody for hearing this nomination. I've been working with Georgette for quite some time on this project, and even before I started at Preservation Long Island about 4 years ago. Preservation Long Island was supportive of efforts to preserve the concert site before the house was demolished, and there was a very unfortunate event, but now we have a great opportunity to redeem what happened and move forward. And I just wanted to point out one of the Secretary of the Interior standards, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. One of the lesser known standards is reconstruction. And reconstruction is completely, within the realm of possibility, especially in circumstances like this, where there's some loss of a structure due to, unmitigatable adverse impacts, which demolition surely is. And just some other sites that you probably are aware of, but don't maybe you don't know that they're completely reconstructed. Many of the sites in Williamsburg, many of the sites in Jamestown, and oh gosh, it's the site in New England.
Plymouth.
Plymouth Plantation is entirely based, thank you, Sarah, entirely based on archaeological evidence. So they didn't even have a timber frame. They just had foundations and other kinds of things to base their inferences off of. And that is, by all accounts, a very, very successful reconstruction. And I think in this situation, we have an abundance of information, much more than they had in the context of Plymouth and other places. So in addition to the archaeology, the kind of really surprisingly rich archival evidence, which sort of, shows the great need. And my organization has been working on the Jupiter Hammond project this year. Jupiter Hammond, of course, is the first published African-American poet. And there's sort of like a kind of common perception that there are no documents about people of color, enslaved people, and home ownership or property ownership from this period, entrepreneurship, that kind of stuff. And it's just kind of not the case once you revisit these documents. And I think the Fierce Concert Homestead has been a great example of that, that when you revisit the old town records and the probates, you start to see these folks appear. And it was just that we weren't looking for them in the right places. And Fierce Concert is definitely one of these people, and not just him, his family, his mother, his grandparents. It's just a tremendous chapter of village and town history and Long Island history and American history. So I'm so happy to have this opportunity to speak in support of this designation. Thank you so much. And thanks to the mayor for presenting, and Georgette, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
To all the attendees, if you raise your hand, we'll bring you in for a comment. If I don't see a hand, we're going to move on. Okay, Jeff.
Okay, so board members, Sarah, you're right next to me on my screen. So why don't you kick it off with any comments you might have, and then we'll go again, based on my screen, Peter and John and Mark, okay?
I haven't had the pleasure of looking at the packet, but based on the endorsements by Preservation Long Island and the various other preservation organizations, including the Trust and Preservation League, and the invoking of strata, removing and numbering the timber members, I would wholeheartedly endorse the reconstruction of this building as certainly not only worthy, but necessary. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Peter?
I agree with what Sarah said. Yes, let's rebuild it.
Okay, John?
Totally agree. This is why we're here, and it's exciting to be a part of this, actually.
Okay,
I do
good.
have a question though. Now, when was the original house or the main house torn down? Just out of curiosity, do you know? Does anyone know?
I'll tell you, I think about 5 years ago, maybe 6,
That makes-
Georgette, does that sound about right? Because one of the things, and I was going to mention this, for me, either I just come on the board or I was shortly before, and it seemed to be such a tragic irony that an historic structure was torn down, and I forget the details as to why or how, that doesn't matter. But then shortly after it was torn down, it was replaced by an historic landmark sign. And I'm thinking to myself, this is bizarro. We're tearing down an historic structure to replace it by a sign that says, "Here once stood." So it's
obscene. It's obscene.
John, and it's nice to be a part of a process or an opportunity to undo a wrong. And to the extent that there are other opportunities in the village, I know Mayor Jesse is a strong proponent of the board's ability and authority to designate landmarks. I know we've discussed it as individual board members, and this is an opportunity, and John, as you say, an exciting one where we can be a part of that. So Mark, I've left little for you to say, but you have the floor.
Thank you for this story, because when I was driving by, I was like, we have the sign, and I didn't know the history of the sign versus the construction when the tear down happened. I would 100% support this. I think it's an important story. It's an important moment for Southampton. I think it's an important we can make.
Yeah. Okay. Well, with that being said, I moved, since this is within the historic district, and it does require a written decision. I move that we submit this for written decision. Do I have I'm sorry.
Jeff,
Yeah.
before you do that, can I
Yeah, I'm
just
sorry.
ask that the board articulate that we are going to be designating this property as a landmark?
Yes. And what perhaps in doing so, we should be specific on the elements within 65.3, which I'm trying to see if I can get up on my screen.
So it's 65-3A, and it's clear that A2 applies.
Yes.
The property is identified with historic personages.
Yes.
And I believe 1 may apply as well. It possesses special character or historic or aesthetic interest or value as part of the cultural, political, and economic and social history of the locality.
Yes. Again, I don't have it in front of me. My recollection was that the first 3 sub items applied, and you've noted 2 of them.
The third is that it embodies the distinguishing characteristics of an architectural style.
Okay, yeah, that was the one, and I think even Georgette at the last meeting said, some of that might be debatable.
Okay, well, I think we definitely have 1 and 2. Is that correct?
I think a timber frame, an
I think
intact timber frame.
Yes, I was gonna say, yeah.
Timber frame. Okay, got it.
Okay, anything else on that list, Alice, Sarah, or anybody else?
So the 4th is that it is a work of a designer whose work has significantly influenced an age.
That doesn't, I don't think based on the presentation that applies, but nor does it need to.
And the 5th is because of a unique location or singular physical characteristic. It represents an established and familiar visual feature of the neighborhood.
Well, that I think is, it's surely a prominent location in the village. It surely has a important relationship to the ferry service that he ran. And as Georgette said in the last presentation, the presence of that site, of that location and that building on that site in the village when, a couple hundred years ago, when there were few houses far between, I think that could apply. Board members,
Yes, and
what's your view?
If you look on the postcard that you see there, that's the postcard on the investigation site, you will see that postcard really does give us a clue, a window into exactly what we're seeing, and I think is an indication. So that's one of the things that we were looking at, going through old images and postcards and different things from that time period. And I
Right.
apologize, I'm having a little nasal issue right now, but yeah, I think that's one of the things that we looked at, and I don't know if Sarah Couts is still on the line, but we talked
Yeah.
about this as well.
Just to back up Georgette's point, one thing that's very interesting about this location close to the lake is that, and I think this is in Allison McGovern's archaeological report, that it tends to be a place of less desirability in the 19th century. And it's not until later on when we have the resorting era, which in many ways continues to this day, does it become desirable to want to hang out on the lake. And then we have the houses around the lake. And of course, today it's like the place everybody wants to live. But back then it really wasn't a desirable place. It was kind of swampy, it was wet, it wasn't where the happening things were happening. So that's in Allison's report, where this little settlement of Fierce Concert and going back into his grandparents, that these homes were kind of landmarks in a way on the lake before the lake kind of became the sort of place we know it today. So to whatever extent that supports that, I don't know, criteria, I don't know what to call that, but
It's a
Well, I
stamp.
think it meets many of them. So I think we should vote.
Well, it goes into written submission, and so what Alice was seeking was just clarification on the basis upon which she can write her decision. And I think, Alice, do you have sufficient indication? Is there
Yeah.
any? Okay. So, all right. So with that being said, so the process, folks on the applicant side, Jesse and Georgette, is that Sarah over the coming weeks will write a written decision. I don't know, Sarah, if this is something that you have to confer with others, but within the village, or I don't know if it's handled any differently. I'm sorry, Alice, if it's handled any differently than any other decision.
I just know that it has to get filed with the clerk of the village and
Right.
also with the clerk of the county.
Okay, all right. So I leave that in your good hands. Thank you, Georgette. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Sarah, on the phone. So. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
thank
Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
I'm so
Happy
happy.
New Year.
Okay, you are welcome. All right, we can now move on to the other agenda items. The next two applications under historic public hearings have both previously been adjourned. That is Thomas and Meredith Joyce at 765 Hill Street and Walden Manor, 16 Gin Lane. Those have been previously approved for adjournment, and Alice will just continue those adjournments.
Jeff, can I
Yes.
bring John Bennett in? He has his hand up.
Oh, okay.
Bringing him in.
So Alice, do we have to open this then? Or is,
Hi, John.
No, he can.
okay.
Hi,
Hey,
everybody.
John.
Hope everyone had a nice Christmas.
Good.
Same to you.
Same to you.
You'll remember that you wanted, because of the time that it elapsed, to have this reposted.
Mhm.
So the ZBA made a decision, which was, they pretty much granted every bit of the relief except for one aspect of it, which the applicant has decided to go along with. So my humble suggestion would be, why don't you put it on for maybe the second meeting in February to allow everyone to, to repost it and re-advertise it. But of course, it's your board. You'll control it. But or maybe
Yeah, I mean-
the first meeting. I'm always concerned about running afoul of the noticing period.
So unless I'm misstating anything, I think it's really, we're open to whenever you can get it on the agenda. And that's something to take up with Jackie, the building department.
Okay. Sure.
And so, right, Alice?
Do you want to adjourn it without date for now, pending
Yeah.
deciding when, okay.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready, and just,
Okay.
to some extent, it's a new posting. It's almost like a new application
Yeah,
to
it's
some
fine.
extent, but okay.
We'll do it. Thank you.
You're
And then
welcome.
Waldorn Manor, I represent the applicant with John David Rose. I don't think there was any presentation we were making tonight unless John was ready.
No,
I think there was a
no,
further
that's-
adjournment.
That's been adjourned for probably the last 2 months, and we, at the last time that it was officially adjourned, we said that also would require new posting.
And then just, I have Scarlett Robinson, but before that, I just want to make sure that the very last of the non-historic, since I'm here, that was, we had originally requested that's 950 Meadow. We had requested that it be put on for a January meeting. It's somehow wound up tonight. I don't know why. I'm just gonna,
What, the 9:50? I have it on my agenda, John, is adjourned to the 11th.
oh, perfect. Okay, so I'm looking at an old agenda. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Sorry to step forward on that. Sorry.
All right, so, all right, so we're all set on that. Alice, do we have to do anything in terms of protocol, or we're all we
No,
can just
we're
move
good.
on to, okay, good. Thank you, John. Thank you, Alice. So now with that being done, John, stick around. The next, the next group of items is our driveway gates in the historic district. And the first one is William and Scarlett Robertson at 445 Hill Street for driveway gates. And John, it's yours. I will preface it by saying that, well, I'll let John introduce himself and then.
Okay, yeah, it's John Bennett for the applicant. We're here with, I guess the, Mark Cirillo wasn't able to get the, there was some misunderstanding about whether or not the revised drawings, which are as per the board's direction, they're wooden as opposed to metal, were before the board in time, but hopefully you have them and you've all been able to see the change of these gates, which conform into the, openness and all that stuff. And there was discussion about the ability, and everyone agreed that the applicant had a right to have the gates, but the board was concerned about the material, so we changed it to wooden gates as opposed to metal.
Right. Okay.
And that's what you have before you.
Okay.
Same
good.
dimensions. It's just I guess it cuts down on the brightness potential.
Mhm.
Not
And-
illuminated or anything.
Right. And John, just to reiterate, or just as a matter of protocol, there are no lights, no external keypads or mechanisms. Let's see, the material you went over. So board members, I'll let you speak. You can go in any order. Well, maybe that's a little too confusing. So we'll start with John. John Gregory, any comments one way or the other? No?
No,
Okay.
not at this particular gate. I think everyone knows my point of view about gates, but there's nothing we can do about it. So therefore we move
Well,
forward.
there are things that we can do within the code of the board. And I think and John Bennett is fully aware of that and is knowledgeable of that, hence,
Right, we will discuss
the
that.
applicant's willingness to
I give my
change the
approval.
material. Okay. Mark,
No,
any objections or comments?
I think this is much improved. I think
Okay.
May I interrupt for 1 second? There's a
Yes,
Lori
Kat.
Lori Fontana has her hand up. Do I bring her in?
Well, I'm just getting comments from the board and then we'll open it to public comment.
Okay.
Okay. Sarah, comment from you?
I think
Okay.
it's improved.
Okay. Mark, I'm sorry, Peter. Are you still on, Peter? I think Peter dropped off.
I see his name.
Do you?
Oh, and he's raising his hand too.
Okay.
There, he got bumped to attendees.
Okay.
bring people back.
All right, there you are. There you are, Peter. Comments? Oh, you're muted, Peter.
Good, you
There
didn't
you go.
hear me swear. Yeah, it's fine with me.
Okay, so now it's open to public comments. Thank you, Kat.
Okay, so I'll bring Lori Fontana in. Hopefully she still wants to talk.
I think she wants 105 Hetty.
Okay, Lori, do you have a comment? And unmute yourself, please. There you go.
Okay, my mistake. I thought you meant to raise my hand if our matter was being discussed tonight, not this matter. My
Okay.
apology.
No big deal.
It's always good. This is like a party line, so this is great. So
Let's not go that far.
with that said, it looks like we have sufficient approvals on the board and no objections at this point. So I move that we submit the application for driveway gates of William and Scarlett Robinson at 445 Hill Street to written decision. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, on vote, please.
Aye.
Yeas?
Aye.
Okay, aye.
Aye.
There are no nays, so it goes to written decision. Thank you, John.
Happy New Year.
Same to you. We don't see you the rest of the evening, right? All right, John, we'll see you.
Good night. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, John.
Bye-bye.
Hi, John.
The next application is for, again, historic driveway gates for Greg and Susan Danilo at 199 Hill Street for driveway gates. Is the applicant present?
I have one-
I reviewed their affidavits of posting and noticing.
Oh,
and they were
thank you.
submitted.
Yeah.
Okay, so my apologies again. And Agina Rigdon Hoffman, I just brought her in. What do you need to say, Agina? Nothing.
Wait, hold on.
Oh. There she is.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Hi.
Hi there. There you are. Okay.
What's going Agina Rigdon, DKR Shores, here to represent Greg and Susan Danilo for proposed driveway entry gates located at 199 Hill Street. As you can see, we proposed a very, very simple, it's called Ameristar Echelon 2. It's an aluminum entry gate, but it has a permacoat powder coating and a black aluminum, which is really like a dull black. But specifically, it was designed this way because that particular style of gate matches the other gates on the property and the house itself. Also, there is existing columns. They're proposing to reuse the existing columns and set back the base of the gate, the posts of the gate per se, just landward of the vintage sort of nautical masthead style lanterns that exist currently on the columns. There's plenty of clearance. Everything is basically in conformance with all fire access, height requirements, open space requirements. And it's a very simple gate because we specifically wanted it understated. So the columns themselves, and you can see on the photographs that were submitted that they have a beautiful tile, hand painted as well. And we'd like to really make that stand out rather than the gate itself. There'll be no keypad. It's the automated access gate as well. So basically, obviously, it's a safety concern, security, being on Hill Street. They have grandchildren, a dog, etc. So it's privacy and a security issue. And especially with the fact that a lot of people are moving out here, and we all know that the Hamptons have been increasingly inundated with traffic, and the trade parade goes down that road to bypass Montauk Highway. We know how busy and how backed up it gets.
Right. So a couple of things, and I appreciate your client's concern, but quite honestly, that's not the issue of the board. We all face traffic, we all face congestion. The police department is one of the best in the South Fork, and our crime rate and burglary rate is exemplary. So again, it has nothing of bearing on us, but since you mentioned it, let me respond that it has no bearing. So let's leave it at that, okay?
They did want me to mention, specifically mention for deer as well. It deters
and again,
deer.
There's not a gate in Southampton.
I
that
know.
will, okay, so
They had an episode with a baby deer where the mom left the deer behind under their bush for a while, like a couple days. So
we'll report it to Child Services. I'm sorry for being quiet and candid, but it's
Nature.
the deer population is something that's not an issue for us. But I do need to ask you, you mentioned lights, but I don't see any lights on the diagram.
They're actually on the gate. They're actually on the columns themselves. If you look at the pictures, or if you have driven past
Yeah.
the columns to see them, there's a very unique sort of vintage style nautical lantern
Okay.
that we obviously want to preserve, and that will not be obstructed from the street view.
Okay. Well, with the assisted recall, I think I recall it. I drive by there all the time. It's one of those things I did not recall, and it's not on here. So, but that's an existing.
It's
the columns
existing.
The columns are not being changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll turn it over to the board members, but one thing that unfortunately this venue doesn't allow us the opportunities to actually see the material. And so while I take what you say and as the gospel in terms of it not appearing to be metallic, without physically seeing it, I'm at a bit of a loss. And I would like to see a sample. That's me personally. I don't know if the other board members are either
I
familiar
submitted
with
a
the material.
photograph,
Yeah,
but
well,
not an actual physical sample. But I'm
right,
sure I could get one.
Okay, so anyway, that's just me speaking. Board members, feel free to, I'll start by my screen, and Sarah, you're right next to me.
I'm at a disadvantage having not looked at the photographs. I think it better not to comment.
Yeah, okay. Well, the photograph I have is a flat photograph. Oops. Well, that's not, I'm not going to make it as
Can
if,
you see mine? This is a photo of the actual column.
right. Okay, now that
The
helps me about on the column.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
So that's the column. So John Gregory, again, you're in my upper right screen, so I'll let you speak.
And then this is just an example of the color itself, but a similar style gate. And
Yeah,
it's got an
Okay.
11 step powder coating.
right. That's the picture that I have. Okay.
Yeah, that's the sample color.
Okay.
From my perspective, I mean, we just required a gate not less than like a block away from that to be wood in
Right.
the historic district. I think that's a major concern.
Yeah.
Not so much the color, but the gate itself.
Mhm.
And the picture you just showed us, the gate itself looks, that's
That wasn't the actual gate. That's just an example of the color. This is the gate.
you know, I have that right in front of me. I mean, the issue I have was with it. I don't, you know, as much as I don't want gates in general to be blockades or, you know, prevent view into the property. This gate it looks a bit flimsy, to tell you the truth. It doesn't look, you know, in keeping with some of the other gates on the street. But my general concern is the material.
Peter?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's going to be a metal gate, right?
It's an aluminum gate that has a permacoat powder coating. It's
Right.
an 11-step process, and
No,
the
I
color
understand.
itself is 4 steps.
But the dimensions as such are what you would have for a metal gate, like if it were wrought iron, for instance.
It would be similar to the coloring of an aged
not the-
wrought
not-
iron.
Not the color, the dimensions of the members are, if I understand, it's more of like an iron gate. It's not a wood gate aesthetic.
No, it's not a wood gate. It's more a metal gate
Iron, all right.
aesthetically.
Yeah, okay, I understand. Well, I found it really boring. And you may not want to compete with the piers, but the piers are actually quite nice. You know, they sort of that scalloping the top and the sort
Yeah,
of
they're lovely.
texture. I just think you gotta make it nicer. It just looks very off the shelf.
I would like
me.
to actually return to the property and maybe photograph the other gates on the property that have historically been there. So you can see what we're trying to match.
I mean, you had gates that were here before?
There's gates in the other parts of the property in the back,
No.
But not along the road.
not along the road. No, there's actually a wood picket fence along the road.
That's
No,
not-
I know. I see it. It's a stockade fence.
Right.
It's just very, it looks very commercial to me. So that's, I don't know what anyone else thinks.
Mark?
I
Mark?
agree.
I have 2 questions. The photo cells sit on what?
I'm sorry.
Looks to me there are photo cells in front of the gate.
Which page are you?
Page 4. See the
Photo
page
cells.
4 at the left-hand side.
Oh,
The car, there's photos. Are those, what, are those on risers? Are they?
I don't think so. Mark, are you on? I have the contractor should be on
No.
as well.
Yes, hang on one second. I'll bring him right in. I apologize. Okay, Mark should be
I
in.
think they're mounted to the post, actually.
Mark, can you hear us?
Mark, you have to unmute and start your video. There you are. Unmute yourself.
I sent him a request to unmute. He should see it.
Lower
There you
left
go.
corner. There you go.
He's got it.
A
Hey,
good
Mark.
question. Good question. Photo cells are on the pillars, on the front side of the pillars, mounted on a bracket.
All right. So, let-
I don't see. Okay. Then my only other comment would be similar to Jeff's. I would like to see a material sample so we totally understand what we're looking at.
Mark, would you be able to provide that so I can bring it into the village?
Not a problem at all.
Okay.
I mean, if we have new parameters in the village that they're not allowing this, I mean, then let's move forward. Is it just wood that's allowed, or are there?
So Mark, the board, I don't have it in front of me, but the actual criteria upon which we make evaluations it does include materials and does include design, scale, mass, and the like. So it doesn't, there are no parameters or set definitions or set rules as to what material can be used in the village. It's more a matter of what's harmonious. And we've reviewed the use of driveway gates in the historic district, and actually, our historian at the time, Zach Studenroth, determined that gates were not of an historic nature. However, that being said, it's been recognized that gates have been allowed to proliferate to some extent along Hill Street, especially as one gets closer to town. It's in keeping with the historic nature of the village, where gates do find their ways into the village, in the historic districts, to be consistent with what's around, to be harmonious. And if you've got an 18th century house, having a metal gate is not consistent with the vernacular of that particular property. Now, as we get closer to the village, there's a bit more flexibility. So there are no specific requirements as to what the materials are. It's really a matter of what's appropriate for the area, and each area is different. Now, John mentioned just a block away. Well, actually, the 445 Hill Street is maybe about a half a mile away, but that gets to the point of not diminishing, taking away from what John is saying. It just gets to the point that each property, and as we've said on a number of occasions, is viewed as a single application and in the context of the buildings and structures around it, and in the case of the historic district, within the context of historic structures. I'm sorry, that's a long-winded way of saying it depends, Mark. So in this particular case, there is concern that aluminum, especially aluminum that we haven't had a chance to look at and feel and touch and see whether there's a glare or not, we can't make that determination on the material. There's a concern about the design, whether that's appropriate. And there was reference that Gina made in terms of there being other gates on the property. So I think I would view this file as wanting for to be a bit more complete, including submission of the material. I'd like to see an actual rendering, not of the gate, because I thought what you had provided as representative was in fact the gate. So I don't know if the other board members feel that an actual color rendering is necessary, but maybe not. Anybody feel one way or the other on that?
I just think a clear drawing, and I think if you're going to go the metal route, I think it should be iron. Because wrought iron is a beautiful thing. And it's got the authentic dimensions.
Right. So let us look
rather than hollow metal tubes.
Right. So why don't you submit the material, that sample that you want to use, with a more representative picture, and then we'll take it upon ourselves as board members to look at the property and some of the other gates. So with that being said, it's your call to make about adjourning to the next meeting. So if that's what
I appreciate your explanation. That's very helpful. It seems like there's a bit of a consensus that this metal, whether it is considered flimsy, off the shelf, there is a inertia on the board. And I don't want to waste my client's time. Perhaps, if there's 4 or 5 of you that are just dead set against, it's not going to be wrought iron. And I will tell you, although aluminum is in the definition, it's far from flimsy.
Mm-hmm.
The intent was simplicity and less is more.
Well,
But I really don't want to waste my client's time.
I bet it looks cheap. If that's so much flimsy, it looks cheap.
Well, so again, some of that stuff is debatable. It's your call, Mark and Agina.
That's fair.
We could vote on it now, and which you can see there's not a consensus.
Yeah.
Or you can resubmit, and then it's up to your client whether they want to pursue it or not.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
So if we could adjourn it, just one more mention that the gate directly across the street, when you guys do a drive-by and take a look at the surrounding area, they are wrought iron across the street.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little more decorative. They have an arch on the top, and the bottom of the actual members are sort of have this arrow.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll talk with Mark a little more. I want to go look at the other gates on the property. I want to give you a little bit better photographs of the gates in the area.
Okay.
Some of them are white. One is wood, very ornate. And then let me talk with the clients. And then let me get you that sample so you could really see the weight and feel it, what this really feels like and what this color really looks like.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
So I move that we accept the applicant's request, that being Greg and Susan Danilo, 199 Hill Street, for driveway gates to adjourn to our next meeting, and during which time they will submit additional materials and pictures and for the file.
Second.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, thanks, Agina. Thanks, Mark. Okay, let me just make a note here.
Just repositioning.
Okay. So we are now moving on to public hearings, non-historic. The first one being the Woolley Street properties, 162 Woolley Street. You should, I assume, find in your file, but there was a request to adjourn to January 11th. So I move that we accept the applicant's request to adjourn to January 11th. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Peter, John, and Mark, do we have ayes on that?
Aye.
Okay, aye as well. Okay,
Aye.
so that's adjourned. The next agenda item is 105 Hetty Creek Lane to construct a 2-story single-family dwelling with attached 3-car garage. So come on down.
Raise your hand if you're in this matter so I can pull you out of the group. There's one. Anybody else in this matter, please raise your hand.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so Lori, if you are the applicant, please announce yourself so that Jackie can take it all down.
Lori Fontana, McDonough and Conroy Architects, representing 105 Hetty Creek Lane. Excuse me. We recently submitted revised renderings with the requested changes that were made at the last meeting, which were the gray window trim on the windows, to remove the stucco off of the gable end, and to change the flat roof to a shed roof. And then we took the whole garage element and shoved it back, even with the house, the main part of the house. So it wasn't in, out in front. And then in the rear, we removed the back. If you're standing in the back, looking at the backyard from the sliding doors, the deck to the left was removed at your request, and just made a window with a flat roof area. And then to the right, the master was massively reduced. So if you'll make note of those changes, that were all the comments that you had at the last meeting.
Okay. Board members, Mark, I'll let you go first this time.
Sorry. Yeah, I thank you. I see you did make a lot of the changes that we asked for. And I think it's much improved over the last submission.
Okay, John,
I think it's fine.
Peter?
Can you push the garage back so it's truly even? It looks like it's sticking out about a foot beyond the house.
If I push it back much further, it blocks the windows in the light from the kitchen. So I listened to what you said and pushed it back over 10 feet. We just request that it stay where, that 1 foot.
Yeah, no, I think it's improved. Thank you. I'd like it more if we didn't have stucco at all. If it was just all one thing, or if you wanted a contrast, I would do a wood. I would do clapboard, or maybe shiplap, or even vertical under the vertical siding, wooden, rather than stucco. I still have that hang up. That's what I have to say.
Sarah?
Did you call on me?
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
I think there was a conversation about the slight shed that you have, the protrusion that looks a bit like a brise soleil over the bank of windows on the gable ends. And since it's facing it's on the east elevation, I don't really see a reason for a brise soleil on that side.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
That you have the area that used to be stucco where the windows are on the gable ends on the main.
It was a flat roof, which in the last meeting, I reviewed the entire tape. It was a request to take off the flat roof, and we replaced it with a shed roof.
No, I'm talking about the gable ends. That you have two gable ends facing the front elevation, and on the gable ends you have an area that projects ever so slightly, and you have one triple bank of windows, and below it another triple bank of windows. On the second story triple bank of windows, you have what looks like a little shed projection.
Right, that was a flat roof.
Oh, that's
original.
Okay.
We changed it to a shed roof at the request of the board.
Okay.
To address that.
Okay.
I appreciate the changes that you made. It sounds like the board is in general agreement and doesn't have strong objections. So unless I misread that, folks, I would suggest and move it towards a vote. But before doing that, let me see if there's any public hearing, public concern. Kat, do you want to ask and see if there's any public?
Yes, once again, if anybody has any public concern, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we will be moving on. No hands are up, Jeff.
Okay. I move then that we accept the application of 105 Hetty Creek Lane, LLC, for 105 Hetty Creek Lane to construct two-story single-family dwelling with an attached three-car garage as submitted. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Vote, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, nay?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, well, split decision, but the ayes have it. So Lori, you have your approval.
Thank you. I want to take the opportunity to thank you guys for, I know you guys have been jammed with applications, and I do want to say thank you for your time and for all your hard work. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lori. Okay. Next agenda item, and that is the application of Donna Zilka at 28 Raymond's Lane to construct a two-story single-family dwelling with attached garage and accessory pool. This application has been before us previously, and so there's no need to check mailing and posting.
Okay, I brought them in.
Okay, so who's ever representing Donna Zilker, and I have a feeling it's Donna Zilker. So,
I guess.
So please identify yourself and speak.
I'm Donna Zilka. I think that BJ Steinbrecher, who I thought was going to.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, good.
I popped out and popped back in, but I'm architect representing Donna Zilka. BJ
Okay.
Steinbrecher is my name.
Okay.
I think what I'd like to do is share my screen. There was a couple of items, one being the landscaping plan that we wanted to review with you, and the other item was on the rear of the house, which I'll bring up a picture of. The back of the house has a bank of windows that I wanted to show you. On the second floor, we had a big picture window that we split into two windows to match the door below. With that being said, though, we were requesting that we prefer the picture window itself, but I'd like to share my screen.
Please do. Please share your screen.
Do you want to do the landscaping first, or should I go to?
Let's do the structure.
Window?
Let's do the structure.
Okay. All right, just give me 1 second here. Okay.
Just so I'm not
Okay.
missing anything, was any of this provided in advance in our mailboxes this week?
This drawing that I'm showing right now was not. I did submit the landscaping plans, but
I never received any of this, so.
So let me just zoom in a little bit on the picture. This is the existing, what we originally proposed, where this picture window above this sliding door was first proposed, and I believe it was Sarah that wanted to see how it looked.
Right, with a split window.
Right, so it's basically two frames, two windows above the 6-foot French door, French gliding door, I should say.
And if I recall, you said that either way was fine, that it would, but I believe that BJ figured that it was good to show you this way in case, but you also did say at last meeting that it was fine to just have the window pane. I'm fine either way. I just want to get.
Yeah,
to
we're
move
both
along.
fine either way. We sort of prefer the picture window itself, the larger window, without the split in the middle. But it does, take note that it does match the bank of windows vertically with the split in it.
I think alternate A is fine. I think it looks better. The picture window.
Yeah.
A is
Okay.
better. I prefer A to B.
Perfect. Okay.
All right.
That might
Thank
be a
you.
little confusing this drawing.
Yeah, and it's something really just the neighbor to the south would be seeing. You can't see it from the street, from South Roscoe, because of that 1-story addition off the back of the house would be blocking it.
I think given the sensitivity of large windows, I thought it was worth looking at an alternative.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I do think that A is preferable from a design standpoint.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that.
Sure. And then, and so then we're gonna go to the landscaping plan. This is just a black and white rendering, but the property itself actually has a large number of mature plantings on it that we're going to remove, store, and then reuse after the house is constructed.
There are, I think, 46 hydrangeas on the property. The previous owner loved hydrangeas, and we're going to keep them.
Yeah, so we're gonna wrap the house on the front, on the north and the east sides with the hydrangeas, and there's on the west property line and on the south property line there are existing privet hedges that are extremely overgrown, and so we're gonna prune them back to about 10 feet. And they've just been overgrown, so they do need some maintenance to get them back to where they really should be. I have a couple of pictures. I don't know if you want to see what's existing there, but it's a nice buffer to the neighbors existing already. One other thing that I do want to show you is on this corner of the house, there was some discussion about, as you come around the corner, trying to soften, or I don't know if it was through an architectural element or something, but we're proposing through a landscaping element to soften this corner edge. So we are going to propose that we're going to plant a weeping Alaskan cedar tree, and I do have a rendering that I can show you.
The arborvitae, though, are evergreen, so you would never see that tree anyway. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically. I mean, as the tree grows, you would see it above the arborvitae.
Are arborvitae used throughout that neighborhood? I mean, I think they're
Right across the street. they
Yeah,
have.
yeah, they are.
privet looks so much nicer. The arborvitae can look so shabby within a few years if they're not well maintained.
We'll absolutely be maintaining them and trimming them. We're not going to let them grow wild. They'll be maintained like a hedge would be.
What about, do the deer eat arborvitae? Don't they eat the bottom of them?
They do. This steeplechase brand apparently is less likely to be eaten by the deer, but there's currently a hedgerow around the two sides of the street, and well, obviously the deer eat those also. Kind of hard to keep them away from things, but
They don't eat privet.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah.
They do.
They do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
They didn't used to. They're getting.
Yeah, it's funny.
Wow.
There's things that they didn't used to eat, and now they do. And
Yeah, I mean, every month you watch them and they get heavier and heavier. You really think that those deer need to go on a diet.
but let me pull up, I want to pull up the renderings of that weeping willow, because we do think that it'll soften that curve. Now, I cut away the arborvitae's, so you can see inside the property.
Because you'll never see it, so it's.
We don't care.
Yeah,
doesn't
I mean,
matter.
eventually it's gonna get bigger, but I think it'll soften that edge of the house there.
Okay, but it won't be, we won't see it, so we don't need to look at it.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay,
I mean,
that sounds good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things on the agenda.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Thank you, Donna. Okay. Any further comments from the board? I'm sorry, BJ, are you?
That's okay, no, go
Are you
ahead.
done?
I am done, yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Peter and John, you've spoken. Mark, Sarah, any thoughts?
Yeah, I've agreed that the picture window is better than what I thought
Okay.
might be good, and
Okay.
we'll vote.
Okay, good.
I still, I made the comment in the previous meeting, I think at the front of the house is it's just uninteresting. I think the back of the house is actually more interesting than the front of the house, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. I tend to agree with that.
So with those comments registered, I'd like to open it up to public comments, if there are any. Kat, do you want to see if there's anybody out there? Did we lose Kat? I don't think so.
Last time.
Oh, Kat's on mute. Kat, hello. Let's see. Let me see if I can chat with Kat. Hold on a second.
Sarah was just made host.
Okay. Let's see what.
Kat may
Let's see.
have made host.
Yeah, we seem to have lost Kat. So I'll tell you what, Sarah, you're saying Sarah's showing up as the host?
I just got notification on my screen that Sarah was made host.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
well,
yeah, okay. So if there's anybody in the public, raise your hand and I think Sarah will see it. Okay, I'm not seeing any. Sarah, are you seeing any hands being raised?
No.
Okay. All right.
If I recall from the last meeting, you guys were also going before
Talk
zoning.
with Kat.
That's right.
Kat just sent me a text. She's logging back in.
Okay.
It'll take her just a minute. So she said everybody's
Okay.
being tight.
Yes, I'm sorry. Who was speaking? Was that Mark or John? Or?
Yeah, I just had a question. Donna, last time when we reviewed this application, you guys were still waiting to go before zoning board, right?
We have the approval.
You got the approval.
Yep,
okay.
we have the written
Jackie sent
decision.
it,
Yeah.
yes.
Jackie can confirm that.
Yeah, I got something about that.
Yeah, I did too.
Okay, let's see if Kat comes back in. I just don't want to deny the public the opportunity to speak if there's anybody out there.
I don't see any hands raised on attendees.
And attendees,
There are only 3 attendees.
oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So that being said, I don't want to delay the process any further. And if you're okay with it, Alice, we'll go to a vote.
Yes, I was just checking the attendees list.
Okay, all right. So I move that we vote to accept the application of Donna Zilka at 28 Raymond's Lane to construct a 2-story, single-family dwelling with attached garage and accessory pool house as submitted. Do I have a second on that?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
No.
Okay. Thank you. Jackie, do you have that recorded? So Donna and BJ, your application is accepted and approved. So you're good to go. Check in with the
Thank
building
you.
department after we sign all this stuff, and Jackie will help you get going. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Happy New
Have
Year
a
and
great
All
evening.
right.
I hope it's
Thanks.
good and quick. Bye-bye.
A good one. All right, take care, everybody.
Thanks.
All right, on the next application is for Peter Zakash, and that's at 56 Halsey Neck Lane. This afternoon, Jackie received a request to adjourn to the 11th, so I move that we accept the request of Peter Zakash for 56 Halsey Neck Lane to be adjourned to January 11th. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second, third, aye.
Okay. All right, aye for me as well. Okay. Next on the agenda is that the application of George Petty at 117 Elm Street to construct a second-story addition and exterior alterations. Now, who's speaking? Is Kat still out, or is she back on?
You have an attendee who has his hand raised.
Okay, so can you unmute him from, I don't know how you give him access other than unmuting him.
I've asked,
Boy, I tell you, Sarah, you are computer savvy.
how,
I am impressed.
Where is he?
Well,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you. You're showing
Oh.
up without, we don't have the advantage of seeing your a face that I'm sure your mother loves, but we're left just seeing a big C. So
I'm trying to see if I can get the. It's not giving me the.
okay, I think I've just put you as a panelist, so you should be coming up.
okay.
Here we go. Now we can get there.
Ah.
We go.
You are.
There you are. Now,
Alrighty.
also, I don't know if you'll be sharing your screen with us, but you should have the ability to do that as well, Chris.
Excellent. Okay, so the drawing that I would share with you, I did submit last week, so you should have an updated copy.
Yep.
Peter had made a request on the west elevation for a change, showing a rake fascia there matching the old gable end, which we did. It did, in fact, affect the window layout as we had anticipated possibly happening, which you'll see the change reflected there as well.
I think it looks great.
Thank you, Peter.
Much better. Thank you.
Board members? Other board members, I should say. Any comments? Okay, I assume then there are no objections to the plan as submitted. Any public comments from the other two? Okay. So Chris, in as much as this is already built, then I assume that you're going to be doing, I don't know how it works with the building department, but you're going to be taking down a portion of that which you built to adapt to the new plans.
Well, the rake fascia there would actually be, superficial to the structure of it, so that it won't affect the framing itself. Obviously, the window opening, it will.
Right.
You're correct
Right.
there. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right, so that being said, and if there are no further comments or objections from the board members, I move that we vote to accept the application of George Petty at 117 Elm Street to construct second-story addition and exterior alterations. Might I please have a second on that?
Second,
Okay, all those in favor, say
aye.
aye. Okay, aye. All those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Nay, okay, John is a nay, okay. So with that being said, George, your application has been approved. And again, once we sign the plans, then you can go to the building department and get your building permit from Jackie, okay?
Okay. Thank you, board. Have a great new year. I appreciate your
All right.
time.
All right, thanks so much. Okay. The next application is that of Apogee LLC at 10 Center Street to construct a 2-story single-family dwelling and detached garage. Okay. And who might be speaking? We only have 2 folks who are attendees. Oh, I guess it's the 2 of you since you have your hands up. And I take it Kat is still out. So Sarah, you're it. Can you let these 2 gentlemen in?
Sarah, you're still the power player.
There's Kat. How you doing? Not to worry. You know what? Sarah's been doing a good job. And so.
I don't have Kevin Walls in yet. I got Brian.
Yes.
Okay, I will resume now. I'm so sorry. I got bumped out. All right. Let me get
Well, don't take it personally, Kat.
All right, let's see. Everybody's in right now. There we go.
You have Kevin Walls in?
Yes,
Okay.
everybody's in.
Okay.
Okay, so gentlemen, please identify yourselves and then you can make your presentation. Okay. So again, identify yourself. Oh, you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
I can hear Kevin's showing. Actually, now Kevin, you're on mute. But you were speaking before. No.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, great, perfect.
Low, but I can hear you. I don't know if that's on your end, but
Turn
you're
your
coming
volume
in.
up. Just turn your volume up.
Yep.
Yeah, that's better.
Is that better?
Yep.
Perfect.
All right, great. So I had an issue, like I said before, with Sagaponic Village, and I was a little nervous about this one coming in. So you guys can
Okay.
hear me now? Everything's good?
Right. So just again, identify yourselves. So
I'm Brian
Jackie.
Glasser. Brian Glasser. I'm the architect working on this project at 10 Center Street. Kevin, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Kevin Wells representing the LLC.
Okay.
All right, so just to get started, I don't know if you would prefer I could show some, I'm gonna do a share screen.
Right. Okay.
So you guys can see some of the, is the rendering pulled up?
Mhm. And if you can reference the changes that you made based on the comments
Yes, all right.
from the last discussion.
Yep. So basically, we got a lot of good feedback from the last meeting, and one of the major concerns from the board members and the people, the neighbors in the village, were the corner window, how it was making a statement at the staircase. So we thought toning it down by matching the other gable side to the south and doing a similar window configuration would help tone that down and help it blend in a little bit better with the rest of the house. We still do have a staircase there. So midway on the stair, if you were to look on the north side of the north elevation over in the left-hand corner of the rendering, we basically have a stairwell which is centered on that opening, and we lined up windows above that. Pretty much you basically have a standard 3x5 window with a transom above. And that's like a mid elevation, at mid elevation on a standard landing height. Some of the other comments that that were brought up were the horizontal, if I go back, the horizontal grills, that you wanted them thicker to represent more of a double hung window. So we chose to go with a 3/1 pattern and thicken that window. You can see here it's a thicker mullion than the horizontal to give you that double hung look. A few other things that the board members requested, and it helped me out, was one of the code issues where the roof pitch had to be a 7/12 in the center, and we ended up with less than a 5% flat roof above, which if you'd like, you could go through my, I can pull it up, but if you just go through the package that I gave you, you can see the section cut through, just showing that roof pitch being adjusted.
I saw it.
Okay, good. The other comments were the side lights were originally, I think they were 8 feet by 3 feet wide on the front door. We toned that down with going to a standard, say 2 feet wide with a lower panel, and it would be completely white trim all the way around. and a double panel front door, which is a little bit more traditional feeling as opposed to a large single panel recessed door detail. Another comment was the original chimneys at the top were, they flared out a little too much, maybe were a little aggressive. We toned that back as well. You can see here how the massing of it is toned down quite a bit. That was pretty much it on my checklist of things that had to be done. And that's pretty much it. Kevin, I'm not sure if you want to add something to it, but those are pretty much all the comments.
No, you covered it, Brian.
Yeah. All right, great.
I think it looks very nice, much improved. I don't have any objections.
Thank you.
John?
Fine, fine, I love it.
Okay. Sarah?
I think it's much improved, and I was in the buildings department when a neighbor came and looked at it, and she was much relieved.
Oh, great. That's good to hear.
And did I miss Mark?
You did. I just have one question. In the drawings from the last submission in the garage, actually, the garage door that faces the street.
Yes.
There's a window in the top panel and lights on either side. In the rendering, they've disappeared.
Yes, we're the garage window, the garage door window.
Yeah, the top panel of the garage door had a window.
Yes, we eliminated that just for more. The concept was for the detached garage for it to kind of blend in. If there was any light coming from the garage door opening and closing, that would kind of eliminate it from the street. So we wanted to have the garage kind of. Here I can go to the rendering. It was always in the rendering to have no window. It was taken out, and I did take it out on the actual drawing as well.
Okay.
Just for more of a simplistic structure in the back.
Okay. So you're saying the plan that's in the building department is consistent with the rendering?
Yes, it is. Yep.
That was a change just from the last rendering.
Okay.
It wasn't changed. Yeah, I can. If you want, I could pull it up.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the plan now, and it is as he's
You guys.
drawn it.
All right. All right. I have no other questions. I think
Okay.
the reduction of the window is much improved, and I think all these changes have actually much improved. It looks good.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that being said, I move that we vote to accept the application of
Were there any-
Apogee LLC. I'm sorry, are you still going on, or?
No, I was just gonna pull it up, but you guys have it, so you good.
Okay.
Just shut it down.
So I move that we vote to accept the application of Apogee LLC at 10 Center Street to construct a two-story single-family dwelling and detached garage. And do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. And all those in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any naysayers? Okay, no nays. So that being said, again, you folks have approval from the board. We just have to sign the papers, and then you can go to the building department and speak to Jackie and get your permits and do whatever else is necessary. Okay,
All right.
Excellent.
Great,
Thank you so much.
great, guys. And thanks, thanks for the changes that you made and taking the comments to heart.
Me and Brian were very happy with the changes as well. We think the house actually looks
Yeah.
better now.
Yeah, well, sometimes this process works well for everybody.
I agree.
So it's good to hear that. So anyway, good luck on the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Right,
Have a good new year.
You too.
Thank you.
Did you want to say something, Alice?
No,
Okay.
I wanted to
So-
say we missed your daughter tonight.
Oh.
I could bring her in.
She was the highlight of the last meeting.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
She's still opening presents.
Never mind. I was telling the board one of the presents I got, but I'm not going to display it this evening, was a pair of sweatpants that look like regular pants. So when you're on a Zoom meeting, you don't embarrass yourself. So anyway, I only wish I had thought about it. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, the last item on this, in this category is for M 4950 LLC 950 Meadow Lane. And that was a request to adjourn, which we heard from John Bennett as well. So I move that we accept the applicant's request to adjourn the meeting to the next meeting on January 11th. Do I have a second on that?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good. So that's adjourned. Okay, we now move into driveway non-historic gates, and that too, and the only application is for that of DMDC Holdings LLC at 128 West Prospect Street. They too submitted a request to adjourn to January 11th. And if there are no objections to that, I move that we accept the applicant's request to adjourn to the next meeting on January 11th. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, and all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. There are no nays. So that being done, that concludes all the applications unless, Alice, you want to say anything other than Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and
Bye-bye.
that's it. Bye-bye. And, you know, this being a public forum, I think we should just simply end the meeting. And if we have any comments after the fact, I'm happy to hear whatever folks want to share with me, either about the process or how we conduct the meetings. But again, that being said, I am going to move that we close this meeting of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation of December 28th, 2020 to a close. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.